I'm Karen Bossick with Eye on Sun Valley. I'm out here on a beautiful day in early October with these equally beautiful grapes. Now these grapes are the passion of two East Fork residents, Bob and Christine Gertschen. And back in 2000, they decided they were going to plant their own vineyard in the Hagerman Valley area. So they bought 2 acres. They planted all the vineyards, all the vines by themselves, and then they started harvesting them come fall, toting heavy buckets full of grapes around as their arms lengthened. The result, this beautiful Syrah. Let's take a tour of the vineyard and find out how everything comes to fruition.
Hi, my name's James Holesinky. I am here at Gertschen Vineyard in Hagerman, Idaho. This is a field of approximately 2 acres of Syrah grapes. We are harvesting them for rosé today, and I'm processing them at a vineyard winery in Buhl. What's unusual about this vineyard is our trellising techniques. We've had to adapt to the early in the spring frost and also the early in the fall frost. So what we've had to do is develop our own Idaho trellising technique that's based upon a fan trellis that they use in high altitude regions of Argentina and South America and some parts of Napa Valley. The reasoning behind our trellis system is to create more buds for the early frost. So when we do expect our frost, we won't be totally decimated 100% of our fruit. So for instance, this plant will have roughly 100 buds to go versus maybe 12. So it increases our potential for having a good set of fruit. Now, if we don't get a frost, we literally just go through and do a little bit of fruit pruning or thinning. So we will thin some of the fruit out, which gives us the opportunity to leave the higher quality clusters and create a better quality wine. Spring times are generally pruning. We take all of these pre-existing branches that have grown, and we prune them all down. That's a form of pruning. That instead of pruning very heavily, leaving, like I said, several 12 to 20 buds, we're making sure we have 5 times the amounts of buds ready for bud break in the springtime. Now in the summertime, it's merely watering and waiting. Weed control. We don't use any glyphosates on this vineyard. We are as organic as you can get. We have all of the weed controls usually done by hoe during the summertime, and then we have a corrugate down the center, and we water the plants based upon site. What I mean by that is that we can see the plant and when it needs watered by tendrils. Right now, we don't want the plants necessarily overwatered, and so that's why you don't see the little pigtails as much on the end of these canes, because we want all of the energy put into fruit production rather than leaf production. So right now we have we've turned the water off for several weeks, and now the fruit is, all of the energy, all the nutrients have pushed into this cluster here, and it's ready to pick. So it's kind of like a base of cooking. The soup isn't ready until it's fully cooked, and these grapes are fully cooked and we're ready to pick. The advantages to Hagerman Valley are heat. And when we say heat, it's the heat units that produce throughout the day and for how long. So if we get up to 80, 90 degrees at noon and it's that hot till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that creates perfect heat units. Cools at night and the grapes stop producing sugars, and then they start back up with nice heat units. So it's no different than like when we always use the analogy for cooking. It's a very balanced, like a rotisserie chicken. We like to say it's a perfect balance. Napa Valley's claim to fame in the coastal regions are hot summer days and cool nights. Hagerman, where we are a high desert plain, we have these nice, beautiful, warm summer days, but we cool down to below 60 degrees at night, which is an ideal climate for growing grapes. Also, we have what we call a melting pot of soil. Our soils here are relatively high in potassium. What that means is that we get high acids, and we also get a high pH, which is very unusual because generally if you have high acids, you have a low pH. Here we have the balance of the two, meaning that we can, the grapes, with the combination of our beautiful weather here and our soil, it creates more complex flavors. So now comes harvest. Harvest is done 100% by hand. We have a crew that's worked with us for nearly 20 years, and we literally have pruners that we prune in the springtime, what we use to prune the grapes. We also use them to clip off the fruit. We do it by hand. We sanitize buckets in between every day, and we rinse out buckets to ensure quality. And we put them on into bins on this trailer and truck, and we take them directly to Buhl, which is about 15 miles away, and we will process them today. So what we pick does not sit, it gets instantly processed and goes directly to the stainless steel.
We need to take a break. We'll be right back.
Better food, better price, better service. Atkinson's Market, supporting local farmers since 1956.
Let the event dazzle your guests by creating a sensational experience. Let the event take your party over the top.
Welcome back. We're now here at Holesinsky Winery, where we're going to see grapes made into wine.
Here we are at the winery in Buhl, where we brought the grapes from Gertschen vineyard to be processed. Step one of the process is the crusher and destemmer. It does two things. It crushes the grapes, and it also separates the stem from the berries. From there, we pump the must into the press, where we press the juice. The juice from there goes into the fermentation tank. From there, we add the yeast, we set our temperature, and we ferment the grapes. Once in the tank fermenting, we monitor temperature and the activity of the yeast. We'll periodically pull samples and test for the sugar, watching the sugars decrease, therefore converting the sugar into alcohol.
Well, James, I know you've got this beautiful tasting room at Holesinsky Winery, but who can be inside when you've got this beautiful estate to taste by? I sure want to thank you for giving us the tour, showing us how the grapes are harvested and how they're turned into wine. And now I guess we get to enjoy the fruits of our labor, or at least your labor. Can you tell me a little bit about this wine?
So this is the Buhl. It is the Rose of Syrah from Gertschen Vineyard. This is the 2019 release, and it is a spectacular wine, and I would love to pour some for you.
Oh, do so.
Has hints of strawberries, a little bit of passion fruit, and it is served cold, and it is very low on sugar, so it is a perfect accompaniment for a nice early October afternoon. Cheers.
It smells perfect. Cheers. my, this is lovely, very lovely. Bob and Christine and James have worked together to create an absolutely spectacular wine. Just fruity, light, full of flavor. Thank you for joining us. I'm Karen Bossick with Eye on Sun Valley, and until next time, I'm keeping my eye on Sun Valley, and in this case, Buhl, for you.